Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. Today we are here to talk about a very important topic. Just looking at the first smile on my face, just don't think I'm very happy at this very point because Indian cricket are in certain turmoil when it comes to Test cricket, especially. We're going to be talking about it. As you see the thumbnail and as you see the headline for today, it is about Rahul Dravid's tenure as a coach in Test cricket, especially. What has he left his imprints? Are India playing a certain brand of cricket in Test cricket? And India have drawn the series against England before the Test match. We came live with you all to talk about it. We previewed it. We had high hopes on it. We were all excited about it. And India were dominating throughout the Test match. And India made England chase the highest ever run chased in their history, where India considered 378 runs. And England chased it down quite comfortably without any hiccups at all. So that's certainly a worrying sign. Third Test match in Sena countries where India are losing by 7 wickets, and it happened. It started off in Johannesburg earlier this year. Then they lost in Cape Town the series, and now they've drawn the series in Birmingham later 6 months down the line. So there are some important topics to talk about, especially in this regard. I'm joined by Sandipani. I know you are in between a lot of exams. I hope you're doing well. And how are the exams going to start off with?
Yeah, it's okay. It's been a bit hectic for me, but I did manage to catch up a lot of action from the Indian series, and it was like whenever you turn on the TV for relief, it's just that you get more sort of depressed with the brand of cricket that Team India played. I
Yeah.
mean, another game where England were at the back foot in the first 3-4 days, and suddenly from the fourth day onwards, the fourth innings is where everything turned around. um, Absolutely, I don't know how India managed to lose that game after scoring
Yeah.
400 runs and restricting England for some 70 odd for 5. So it was almost pathetic on their part, and considering the highest runs, like the, England managing to chase their highest successful runs. I mean, it's just gets better for England. Started off with the first New Zealand game, and they just continued to roll from there on, like 270, 280, 290, now 378, and they are making it look so easy. Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root, they obviously Joe Root has been in some form since the start of 2021 in test matches, and now rightly so he has overtaken both Virat Kohli and Steven Smith in that number of centuries list. And who would have thought that Joe Root, at the start of 2021, he was almost having a lean phase for what, 2.5 years till then, and then all of a sudden, to score 11 centuries in the last 1.5 years, overtaking both Kohli, Steven Smith, Kane Williams. It's a huge achievement. And
Yeah.
talk about
I mean,
Johnny
let's
Best
talk about that.
piling some runs.
Let's talk about where India lost the plot, because Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root, we have given them enough credits to the last 1 month or so in the kind of cricket they played, and especially with Joe Root, 11 centuries in the span of 2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
that's some incredible
And
feat.
Johnny Best is scoring to his 12th century. I mean, two
12th
centuries
century
in,
and
yeah,
sixth
fourth
this
centuries
year.
in the last three games now.
And sixth this year, and twin centuries in a test match. It's just incredible from Johnny Bairstow. Johnny Bairstow was the difference between both the sides if you look at the deciding game
I
of the
mean,
series. And
the
if you look at
Barmy
this,
Army rightly trolled Virat. I mean, they just said that the amount of runs that Bairstow has scored in the last 25 days is more than the runs that Virat Kohli has managed to score in the last 18 months in Test
and
matches,
that's
and,
something
and
very
that speaks
concerning
a
for
lot.
India as well. That's something
Yeah.
very concerning for India because Virat Kohli, who India expect a lot out of him, and Virat Kohli has been on a lean patch for the longest period of time now. I've not really seen a player of his stature going through that long of a lean patch. So, of course, his position in the team also will be discussed through the course of this life. But first up, let's talk about the major issue, right? You are having a lead. You had posted 378, and on any given day, you cannot blame the batting for that. Batting rescued you. You have posted 378, and you have to win that test match on 10 out of 10 occasions. And you have never made any team chase 350 plus runs. And in the history
Yeah.
of Indian cricket, you've never made any team chase runs against you 350 plus runs. So it was a given that
And
India
not
had
just
enough
that,
runs on
the
the board.
highest successful runches at Edgbaston before this was, I think, somewhere around 270, 280, and
270,
the
280,
second
and
highest runches was close to
208.
210.
208. And
Yeah,
last time around, when India played a test match in Edgbaston against England, India were bundled out for 180 odd, chasing 209. So you've got a great history of teams getting bundled out for cheap runs. And you can say, one might say, the Duke's ball has brought in a lot of changes. Pitch wasn't responding, but let that all be on one side. 378 runs on the fourth innings, leaking runs at almost close to 5 runs per over. It is just not acceptable. Let's get straight into it. Third test match in a row, Sandipani now. In Sena countries, where India losing by 7 wickets. You were unable to defend 240 odd on a very juicy Johannesburg wicket earlier this year. That was the first test match of this year, where under KL Rahul's tenure, where you lost that match. And in Cape Town, you were defending 215 odd runs, where you can again pick up wickets, and they chased that score down quite comfortably by 7 wickets there as well. Now, this time around, 378 runs. It's almost double of those runs which you were unable to defend in South Africa. You got enough runs on the board and you were unable to defend. Your third and your fourth ball leaking runs close to 6 runs per over, whereas Mohammad Siraj had no control. Shardul Thakur, who India played as an all-rounder for this game, had no impact on the game at all, which was a
he
very,
was
very
neither good with the bat or with the ball, and that is
highly
a
with the
big
bat.
concern for me. I had rightly mentioned before the start of this game that they might even look for Ashwin and Jadeja, because Ashwin had been in some decent form, both with the bat and ball, and he had been giving Team India results. So they could have
Right.
gone for the two bowling option. And also, if I had spoken about this, that if you're going for Shardul Thakur, you have to justify his position in the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just giving him 5 6 overs with the
I
ball,
mean,
and
I
he has not.
understand the logic behind it. You're right. You're right. I
Yeah.
understand the logic behind it because it's to play that extra seamer. But then, was it
But then you're
necessary
not
for this
giving him
test
the
match?
overs, right? You're not giving him the overs. You're not trusting him with too many overs, and he has been leaking runs all around the series. I mean, there has been just 1 or 2 games where he has been very impactful in 1 or 2 of the innings where he has picked up 6 7 bowlers. And
Right.
let's be honest. I mean, the wickets that Shardul Thakur pick, they are. I mean, the balls that he gets those wickets from are they are not really balls that you expect a test bowler to get wickets from. So
Yep.
I mean, when you have players like Umesh Yadav sitting on the ranks, with the kind of form that he is in, even if you want to try that extra seamer, I think Umesh Yadav would have been a better option. But
Yeah, I thought that should have been the ideal way, more aggressive. They wanted that fourth seamer. I really don't understand, lengthening the batting lineup, having a batter at number 8 when you already have 7 batters. And I'm considering Ravindra Jadeja to be a proper batter. Okay, he's got 3 Test
yeah.
centuries. He's got a brilliant 100 in the first innings, and he's got terrific record since 2019 with the bat and with the ball
Yeah,
as well.
let's
He's
talk
pretty
about the
decent.
batting as well. I mean, you spoke about the batting. I mean, but I was not at all happy with India's batting, because again, the senior players are not stepping up. You
Right.
expect somebody like a Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli. Okay, Pujara got that half century in the second innings, but that was just not enough. You have to convert those starts into big runs.
Let's
And
let's let's break that down. You're right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Virat Kohli first. Let's address the biggest elephant in the room right now.
yeah,
Are Virat Kohli's chances really running out at this very point? Because Virat Kohli, the greatest batsman of this generation for Indian cricket, is going through the leanest of patches he could ever go through in his Test career. You set the same benchmark for Rahane and Chiteshwar Pujara to be ousted out of the team. Is it time to bring that upon Virat Kohli as well? He's no more the captain of the team. Remember that. And it's his third Test match where he's not playing as a captain and he's not really delivered with the bat as well. So as a captain, you always had an extra bit of leverage that you would be the number one player on the list. But here, you're playing as a player, and there are players waiting on the wings, like someone like a Sarfraz Khan, who has had a terrific domestic season. You can try someone like Abhimanyu Yushin and Priyank Panchal. I'm not I'm not trying to bring in that he should be outside of the team, but then are the chances running out is the question over here. He's
I
the
mean,
caliber he's got. He looked very good in the period he was batting. He got the Jaffer of a ball, uh, in that second
in
innings
the
by
second
and
innings, I mean,
that was
he
quite
got a
a really
Jaffer
good
of a
ball.
ball in the second innings. I mean, his
And
dismissal in the first innings was not really impressive. I
and
mean,
yeah, you can say that was just unlucky from him. He was trying to leave the ball, pitched in the middle stump, tried to leave. While leaving, hit the
it
bat
was
and
still on
pulled
the
off.
fullest side. I mean, you expect
Yeah,
players to drive, a player of Virat Kohli's caliber to drive that
yeah.
through
I
covers
think
on
he's
8 of 10
stuck
days.
right now. He's really stuck, isn't it? He's stuck
Yeah,
between
I
whether
mean,
to play
I don't know
out
what
or
he has to do right now. I mean, he has tried everything. I mean, he has got enough rest. If you ask me, he has rested himself enough. It's just not working for him. He has tried to get those runs going in all the three formats now. He has
Yeah.
struggled at the ODIs. He has struggled. I mean,
No, in
T20s is
ODIs,
one of
he's
the.
got a very good record. Let's just accept that he's
Yeah,
got close
but
to.
if you talk about the last 1.5 year, I mean, if West Indies is touring you in India, I mean the
Okay, I
pitches
think
over there.
except that series, he's got
Even the South Africa one, I was not
1750s.
really impressed.
I mean, he's got 1750s, and in 24 innings or something like that. So the records are very good. Or I think it was 1050s in 17 innings initially.
No, no, but if
Then
you talk about
if
just
you
the
the last
last
two
two
years.
series, if you talk about just the last two series at India, I mean the series against South Africa and the series against West Indies, I mean he has not at all been impactful. I think he got one or two half centuries in that series in South Africa, and the West Indies was a complete disaster.
I mean, he's
Okay, and also
consistent
the
with that. He's
T20i
very
format.
consistent with the bad. He's
Yeah,
very
and also
consistent
the
with bad in
T20I
ODI
format,
cricket.
he has been averaging close to 50 or probably slightly over 50.
Yeah,
But in the test format, he has just struggled since 2000, since the end of 2019. I mean, averaging just 24, 25. Okay, you have those half centuries, like the number of matches you played, almost similar to that, equivalent to that. You have your half centuries, but at this level of test cricket, I mean, his average is declining at a great rate. I mean, at some
right.
point at the end of 2019, I think his average was close to 55, 56, and now
Yeah,
it has suddenly dropped to I think close to 47, 48. So
yeah,
it's a huge decline over a period of 2.5 years, close to 3 years now. So I mean, I don't know what he has to do. He has got ample amount of break. He has taken a
yeah.
lot of break in the international circuit. He
Mm,
has skipped a
yeah,
lot of series,
absolutely.
and I just think it's time that he gets going.
I mean,
We
it's
have.
high time, and India need him to get going because the worrying signs are you don't have a test batter of his caliber to even come in. Uh,
I
the
mean,
the
India does not
the
have a
players
test
they have
batter,
blooded in, the
just barring
youngsters in
Rishabh
it.
Pant and Ravindra Jadeja.
Yeah, I think we're facing a
Yeah,
slight
sorry.
issue from there. I think, yeah, just to talk about that, I reckon, especially when it comes to Test cricket, you are looking at the wealth of riches what you've got, and it's very minimal. You've got a Sarfraz Khan, you have an Abhimanyu Ishwaran, and you have Priyank Panchal who are possibly waiting on the wings. And if you talk about their technique, their kind of prowess in overseas conditions yet to be tested. And you saw that with the youngsters who were given opportunity in this Test match, the next generation who we were looking at, like Sir Vihari who struggled, like Sir Shreyas Iyer who's having a serious issue with short ball. And Brendan McCullum, his former coach at Kolkata Knight Riders, clearly signaled from the dressing room, just ball shot at him and you get him. And he fell for that. He's looking like a headless chicken at this very
I
point,
mean,
batting
he
out
looked
that.
really good at the start of that first innings, but then
He was looking good. He's
yeah.
very good against balls which are pitched up. There's no doubt about Shreyas Iyer's talent. But then a weakness in international cricket can be exposed very fast. And against a quality bowling lineup like England, and against a quality ball like Matthew Potts was, just come into the scene really good. He was troubling him. He was jumping around. He had no control over the short ball. And I'm not saying a batter do that, especially a batter of Shreyas Iyer's caliber. He bats number 3 for India in white ball cricket more often than not. And he bats number 3 for IPL teams as well. And I told you this long ago. When he was troubled by Umran Malik in that IPL match, it just looked like a tailender who was batting against a quality pace, and that was shocking sights. And
But I
here
mean,
in
it's
Test
it's
cricket,
test match, so you can sort of you can't compare
you
it with
can,
T20s
you
because
can,
there
you
are a
can,
lot
but
of short balls that he can just leave. So I think he just has to work on it.
yeah,
But not just Shreyas Iyer. I'll not particularly blame Shreyas Iyer or something because apart from Rishabh Pant and Ravindra Jadeja, when Rishabh Pant and Jadeja are batting, you feel that okay, they are not going to they don't look tentative to get out
yeah,
almost in the next delivery. But
yeah.
all the other batters, when they're batting, it has looked you just feel that they might get out in the next ball itself.
I think India
That
weren't brave enough. That's the thing for me. India weren't brave enough. The players who were brave got runs on that wicket
yeah,
because it's let it be Joe Root, Bairstow, Rishabh Pant, Ravindra Jadeja. They look to take on the
Bumrah.
bowling attack. In Test cricket, you're looking at that era where you need to score 4 runs per over and without being scared of getting edged because there's one ball with your name on it. In these conditions, there'll be one ball. If you're trying to play tentative, you're going to look very good for those 11 runs, 15 runs, where you score of 40, 50 balls. But then one ball is going to nick you past and you're going to look very bad. But if you are going to score runs, ballers are going to waver with their lengths. Exactly what you saw in the first innings. When Rishabh Pant and Ravindra Jadeja got going, ballers waved with their lengths, and that's when India scored a lot of runs. But let's talk about the major issue over here. Indian bowling. Indian bowling has been a major issue considering what's been happening, right? Three innings
Yeah.
in three test matches in a row where you're unable to defend targets. You were a test bowling attack who used to pick up 20 wickets consistently, regardless of whichever pitch you played. And that's where you build that aura around you to be the world's best bowling attack. Right now, tactical calls, especially bringing in ballers in different situations, bringing in ballers from different ends, starting off with ballers, releasing the pressure off earlier on in the day. Some tactical blunders have been made, especially when even with field settings as well. Vihari in slips when your preferred slip fielders are Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer, number one, number two, them being on the slip cordon. So there are some big tactical calls to be made, and Indian aggressive, no energy on the field. Do you reckon it has to do a lot with the new management? Because the new management of coaching staff are not tactically possibly progressed as the likes of Bharat Arun and Ravi Shastri. Bharat Arun and Ravi Shastri got a lot of flack, but you gotta give them credit, right? There was a lot of energy around them. There was a lot of tactical decision. You saw in Australia setting up trap for Labuskakne and even Steve Smith as well, setting up the leg side trap. They were tactically very good. And likes of Bharat Arun, he is known as a godfather of Indian bowling attack because he coached them. He literally coached them. He handpicked the bowlers and he
Yeah.
turned them into giants, is what I would say. These ballers prior to 2014 were leaking runs, and post 2014 the same ballers came in like real giants. So are you really missing that former
I mean,
coaching
it has
staff?
all got to do with the process. I really like. I completely understand your question, but the thing is, it's really got to do with the process because if you think about it, okay, Dravid and the management is quite new right now, and it has not been stable. If you think about the era of like Ravi Shastri and Bharat Arun, Virat Kohli was the consistent captain in all the three formats. Okay, Rohit Sharma in say some of the games, but there were just two captains. And right now, the Indian team, it just looks that they are almost going to make anyone the captain. I mean, every other series we hear that a new captain is going to be playing. So it's never easy to coach a unit when the leadership sort of roles are consistently changing. So it's really difficult to adjust to. You have to have a particular captain, sort of a fixed leader group where with whom you can discuss tactics and sort of implement it in a particular way. And I know Ravi Shastri and Bharat Arun, they have received a lot of flack. Ravi Shastri for some very weird reasons, but I have
Yeah,
got to tell you that whatever Ravi Shastri did, I am a big fan because yeah, he's a sort of a guy. He's all fun and like chill, like in all the other aspects, but when it comes to his job, I think he is very effective. He
yeah,
understands the role. He has been in this field for over, say, for almost close to 40 years now, 40
yeah,
years, over 40 years maybe.
yeah.
So he really understands the nature of the game, the way the batsmen are thinking at particular points, what fields to implement, what are the
Let
strategies
me tell
that.
you something very important, Sandibani. You mentioned that right now. I'll just give you two comparisons. Rahul Dravid, the first time he's definitely a good coach. Okay, Rahul Dravid is a very good coach, but in national level, you don't need coaches. You need man managers, and you need tactical prowess. Rahul Dravid in grassroots level has coached many players, and that's what you need in grassroots level. Coach players, identify their technique deficiencies, correct it, make them better players. But in national level, international level, sorry, in international level, you need coaches who are good man managers. And Ravi Shastri was an excellent man manager. I was listening to one of the stories narrated by Joy Bhattacharya, no, actually by Bharat Sundaresh, prior to that Gaba Test match, where Ravi Shastri walked into Mayank Agarwal and he just told him, "Abhi sochna band, khelna shuru," because Mayank Agarwal was overthinking. He was
Yeah.
missing a lot of balls due to that technical deficiency he had. He went to Rishabh Pant and told, "Go unleash yourself as well." So Ravi Shastri, when it comes from him, with his aura, with his voice, you get pumped up. Ravi Shastri was a catalyst behind that turnaround in Australia. You got to say it was a very Ravi Shastri like performance. You've seen Ravi Shastri's career as well. He has fought his way out of a lot of goals. He started as a number 11 batsman and he came to be an opener for India. He scored double century as an opener for India. So you know how big a hard worker he is, how big a striver he is. And that's the kind of imprint what you saw with India as well. They never gave anything away easily. You never saw the shoulders dropping. But in the last three test matches India played in Sena countries, you saw the shoulders dropping pretty quickly.
But again, you have
And
to
that comes
understand
very,
that
very
if
from
the leadership group sort of continues to change continuously, it's never easy for the coach to settle down. I mean,
Yeah,
Dravid has been coaching, even though he has coached the under 19 side and India A side in the past. But you still have to understand that he has you have a particular leader management group with whom you can work and sort of work on the game, think about strategies and management. But here in this Indian team, you don't have a fixed group. Hardik Pandya, Rishabh Pant, Jasprit Bumrah, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, and now we are going to see Shikhar Dhawan captain the side. So a player who has not even been in the series, like who is not even playing in the England tour, will come in straight for the West Indies tour and captain the side. I mean, how
yeah.
bizarre is that? So
Let
you
me tell you
have to,
something.
yeah,
Today, we've got the seventh Indian captain for the year. Shikhar Dhawan has been named the Indian captain for the West Indies tour, and that's
yeah.
something which is bizarre as it can get.
And then you just can't blame the coach. You can't blame the management group. You can't blame the coach when you are having seven
I
captaincy
don't know
changes
what's
in a
happening.
year.
I'm totally flabbergasted at this very point. Okay, you do not know who the players are going to play. You're changing captains like it's a musical chair in Indian cricket. You do not know what to do. You want to give captaincy to everybody in the team. In that case, I'm very sure that anybody can go out there, apply for captaincy post, and you're made the captain. There is no logical reasoning behind it. You brought in someone like a Shikhar Dhawan to captain. I don't know. I really don't understand what is the logic behind it. You just want to rest your main players. Rohit Sharma, who missed out on the test match, you're dropping him for the West Indies tour, saying that there's fatigue. Players who are really looking to find form, you're giving them rest. Virat Kohli does not need rest. He needs time out in the middle. And you're just not giving him that time out in the middle. And you're just saying that don't go for West Indies tour. You're looking at international cricket, for God's sake, right? I know we're just going emotionally right now, but then this is the fact of the matter. Indian cricket are in genuine turmoil. At the start of January, I did point out this in a live with Abhishek and Nirmit that Indian cricket are going to be in turmoil because Jaysha and Ganguly has really mishandled this. I'm being very straightforward here. I call spade a spade, and I'm going to be very straightforward here because they do not know what is happening. And selectors and I have to give the same thing for selectors as well. Chetan Sharma, the committee under Chetan Sharma has picked up captaincy. So tomorrow you're walking into the Indian team and having that feeling that I could captain the team as well. And that's not a good feeling to have. When you do not have a good captain, you do not have a captain who can really captain, it's going to happen. And Rohit Sharma, for me, has been the temporary captain of this team. He's been the permanent captain of
Yeah.
this team, but he just looked like the temporary captain. As
The
Rishabh Pant pointed out
injuries
the
and,
same
and
thing,
consistently resting has not helped him
it,
in
it is
any way.
it
And
is as temporary captain as I could ever get because he's
yeah,
been the permanent captain of this team and he's not captain India at all. How many matches has he captained India for? It is shocking that he's barely captain India and he's been the permanent captain of this team. And what is that sake for? Every series you're having a new captain. It's that eighth captain in the last 10 months. Let me remind you that eighth captain in the last 10 months. Every month you have a new captain,
and it's
and that's not a good
surprising
thing at
to
all.
see such a turmoil in the side, especially when you have Saurav Ganguly at the helm of the BCCI, because Saurav Ganguly at his like in his days in his prime was a captain who always used to like say that, okay, yeah, you gave me the captaincy, I'll keep it for 6 7 years, I'll groom the team, I'll make a team that can sort of grow from youngsters and players like that. But I had never seen such like sort of changes in captaincy. I haven't seen it from any team, uh, even barring teams like all those associate nations. I mean, even they have a consistent captain. Team India, we had been speaking about this before the IPL, that Team India right now they can field teams A, Team B, Team C, Team D. I
I
mean,
want to know
they have
that.
such a
Trust me, Sandibani, that's a very good thing to have. But then it also creates a lot of insecurity. I've seen
yeah,
that with a lot of teams.
that's what is happening, because they are playing sort of Team A for one series, Team B for one series, and most of the senior players are resting in every other series. You don't
Yeah,
see a Joe Root resting after at the end of every series, like after
yeah.
every 2 or 3 series. You don't see Kane Williamson resting after every 2 3
Man,
series. I
I
don't know
don't
why Virat Kohli
understand.
and
I'm
Rohit
a
Sharma
huge fan of
are opting to
IPL.
do this.
Okay, I'm not being old school over here. All these things are not there during IPL. Okay, they're not resting during
It's
IPL.
very strange. It's
A
very
player
strange
like
to see
KL
KL
Rahul playing
Rahul,
for
Rohit
Estonia.
Sharma play their complete quota of 14
But
15 games in
is
IPL.
Indian cricket turning out to be secondary for players? It's a very important question to be answered right now. Is Indian cricket turning out to be? I know I'm not questioning their passion. I'm not questioning their work ethics. I'm not questioning the commitment what they put on to players. I know it's hard. We've seen it. We've seen it. It's not an easy job to play for India and play for a consistent period of time. And the times are hard as well. You have bio bubbles wherever you travel, you are giving buy bubble rest for players. But then the question is, why are players only taking rest during important Indian series? And you're seeing that from your Indian captain as well. That's not a good trend. If your Indian captain, okay, I understand he got COVID, but he's not been fit. He's been not been fit for many of these games. He has missed close to 16 matches in overseas test matches. Let it be the New Zealand test match in 2020, South Africa test matches,
And that
Australian
is
test
not
matches.
just forgivable because he had been in some great form whenever he was playing Test cricket in overseas conditions. I think apart from Rishabh Pant and Ravindra Jadeja, KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma are the only two batsmen who has looked in any sort of comfort in Test matches at overseas conditions.
Yep,
Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, Hanuma Vihari, Shreyas Iyer. Okay, Shreyas Iyer got
yep,
some runs in the South Africa tour. The others, they haven't looked comfortable in any way. Mayank Agarwal, Shubman Gill, they haven't got any sort of runs to show for in the opportunities that they have got.
yep.
And it's really shocking to see a team. And there was nothing wrong with the pitch. If there was anything wrong with the pitch, you can't expect England to come out there, play 76 overs and score
But I
378
won't
runs
still
for the
blame
loss
the
of 3
batting.
wickets.
378 runs is a flabbergasting stuff, okay? 378 runs to be chased down on a single day with so many overs to spare before even the lunch of day 5 is just a joke. Your bowling attack has been questioned here. That's a worst bowling performance I've seen by an Indian team. I've seen some worse bowling performance through the course of 2011 to
And
2014.
especially because you rate this Indian team so high, you mean this time around, I think in this England series, the Pacers have got the most number of wickets in a bilateral series for Team India. I think 60 or something, somewhere close to 70 wickets. The previous best was also in a series against England back in 2018 where they got 61 wickets. So
Hmm.
you are sort of rating the bowlers so high. Even we spoke in the pre-match in our preview that the Team Indian bowling
Yeah,
are definitely the better among the two suits.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, among the two teams, because especially that is a big thing to say, especially when you have James Anderson, Stuart Broad on the other team. I mean, two of the highest wicket takers
Yeah.
in Test cricket right now. So
And, and and
that's
people
a
were
good
right that it is not easy to play baseball against India. And you always thought that someone like a Mohammad Siraj and
I
Ravindra
mean, they
Jadeja would
started off
pull
really
them
well.
up.
They started off really well. The first innings, I think Bumrah just came in,
Yeah.
blew them out,
See,
and Siraj
I
really.
give credit to Bumrah and Shami, but your third and fourth seamer was just very
Yeah, yeah.
erratic, and that's not good, right? In Test cricket, if
I
you're going to
I,
give
I
the third
have been
and fourth.
critical about Shardul Thakur's performance in the past, even though he has got results. I think he's another player like Odin Smith. Even though he'll come good, he'll give you those fantasy points. He'll be that X factor player for you with the bat and with sometimes with the ball. But definitely when you have players like Umesh Yadav in the form that he is, and players like Ravi Ashwin, who again Ravi Ashwin on any pitch would have bowled better than what the third and fourth seamers bowled in the second
Absolutely,
innings,
yes,
especially.
yes,
One might argue that okay, Mohammad Siraj has performed really well in the past. He has proved his merit to be the third seamer for Team India. Okay, I get
yeah,
that. But if you are going to play that fourth seamer and with the current form that Umesh Yadav is in, even in the last game, in the fourth test, I think Umesh Yadav came in, bowled Joe Root when Joe Root was scoring some huge runs, piling up some big runs against India. He came in, he bowled, and he just whenever they are bowling, it just looks like okay, they might just get a wicket. And whenever
absolutely.
Shardul Thakur and Mohammad Siraj bowled in this series, I mean, the only chance of them getting a wicket was getting caught at the long of boundary, getting caught at the
Absolutely.
deep. I mean, they were not just troubling in any way. They were not troubling the England batters. Something which we saw. It's another thing. I don't know. Whenever I see somebody like a James Anderson, Stuart Broad bowling, not Stuart Broad, okay, James Anderson, Potts in the form that he has, like in the way that he has started his international career, and
Yeah.
whenever the Indian batters are playing, they just look so fidgety out there. I mean,
I
it
would
seems
say
like they are going to
they
lose
were
a
very
wicket.
tentative, right? They were very tentative in terms of their
Yeah, yeah,
approach,
yeah.
and I made it very clear a few minutes ago. I just said that in Test cricket you cannot play tentative anymore, and yeah,
And
we're
we
getting
had
some
spoken
important
about
some good
because the
comments as well.
kind of
We're
form
getting
that
some
England
comments.
were coming into this series, like
Yeah,
in the last three games that they scored, piled up some huge runs in the fourth innings
Yeah,
against New Zealand.
yeah.
They had all the momentum, all the form on their side. So India just had to play that aggressive brand of cricket, which they did not do. Hanuma Vihari, Chetashwar Pujara coming in at 2 and 3, and sort of, I mean, Shubman Gill got that start. India were some 27 for no loss at the end of 6 overs in the first innings of the game that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then once Shubman Gill got dismissed, we saw both Chetashwar Pujara and Hanuma Vihari play the brand of cricket that they do, play the proper solid
Anyway,
test
my
cricket.
point again is it's not the batting who's let you down because okay,
I mean, the
I
batting has
understand
also
that
let you
I
down.
understand that you're
I'll
giving a
not
lot of
be.
flack for batting. It's a tendency with Indians that we always blame the batting attack. But 378 runs, you're not defending. That's just unacceptable. That's just unacceptable in many levels.
But okay, you
Because
have to understand that
I'll tell
out
you
of
one
those
thing. I'll tell
378,
you
I
one thing.
think Rishabh Pant
So
has scored over
what
200
really
plus.
annoyed me the most in that
Yeah.
bowling, whatever I was watching was there was no energy from the players. You don't see that with Indian team. This is the same Indian team in this very series who made England's life like a hell in Lord's Test match. 60 overs they got to ball them out, and they balled them out with ease. And England were
But
absolutely shattered
to
after
be
that
fair,
match.
that England has approached, like they have adopted a different approach. The time that they got pulled out within 60 overs at Lords, I think if now England managed to play 60 overs, I think the score will be close to 300
No,
because.
I mean I think it's again up to the team who's bowling against them. If it was in Australia, if it was an Australian team who plays aggressive cricket right now under Pat Cummins, they wouldn't
Yeah.
let England chase that down. If it was an Indian team of last year, they wouldn't have let that happen. New Zealand team lacked the same thing. They were very tentative with their approach. They lacked energy on the field, and that's one of the key aspects in Test cricket. You lack aggression. Jen has rightly pointed out initially about Indian team lacking aggression at this very point, and it's a serious issue. India under Virat Kohli was a different beast altogether. Because India used to take on the opposition's, lock horns. They used to be fearless with the kind of cricket they play. The aggression, that's what matters, right? The energy what you show on the field. It's so important in Test cricket. In Test cricket, you can't let your shoulders drop when you're actually defending a score. Understand there are going to be phases where there'll be 100-run partnerships. There'll be partnerships where you are going to lose the plot. I'll take you back to 2015. Okay, there was a test match against Sri Lanka. Decider. The series was 1-all. The final match was played in Colombo. There was a partnership between Matthews and Kusal Mendes. They were taking Indian ballers on, but our energy was so high, they did not let that foot off the pedal. And what happened? India went on to win that match. And that's what you need these phases. You will have these phases of play, but then if you're going to let your shoulders drop, it's going to be even more. It's even more worrisome than that, because what is in your control is energy. What you can show, what you might deliver, the kind of effort you put in, the kind of bad balls you might get hit. You might get hit for six fours and over, six sixes and over. These things are uncontrollable. These things do happen in cricket. But energy, work ethic, the kind of energy, the kind of tactical calls what you make, everything is in your hand. And the kind of okay, another point as well. Hanuma Vihari, who's not even a designated slip fielder, put at second slip. Johnny Bairstow's catch was a sitter at that point. And he was wearing shin pads as well. You know, when you wear shin pads, your reaction time is very less. Because you cannot go up. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He was going for a reverse cup, he couldn't climb up, and the ball went through his hand. And when the designated fielders are Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer, tell me your thoughts on this, Sandipani, because the 2 points which I raised, what do you reckon about the aggression factor and not having tactical nuance in the game?
I mean we already covered the aggression part in our pre match analysis as well, because we have been talking about this for quite some time now, that the approach that India is adopting in test matches, uh, you are just faulting, like in this game. I think the bowlers were horrible, like the bowlers were looked completely off color. But in some of the previous games, I feel even the batting was not up to the point. I mean, if you just take away the amount of runs that Ravindra Jadeja and Rishabh Pant scored in this game, I think just take away 370, then India, all the other batters from Team India,
So I don't really care about that, to be honest. I understand your point, but it's the same thing with England as well. You take Joe Root and Bairstow, they're nothing. You will have
no,
these
but
players.
then they have players like Ben Stokes, who has been contributing quite fairly in a lot of games. You got that early opening partnership from Alex Lees and Zach Crawley that sort of set the tempo for the chase. and then also you have a player like Oli Pope who has
yeah,
been contributing contributing dearly in some of the games.
yeah,
So this England team looks a lot more balanced. Like the players are looking in some sort of form. Can't say that for Team India with the bat, with the ball.
yeah.
Talking about aggression, I think you rightly mentioned that Colombo test way back in 2015. I think the approach was different. This time around, I think they just got outplayed.
I
A,
mean,
a
my
team
issue
under
is
the
just the
new.
shoulders dropping so early, and that's something which you shouldn't be doing in Test cricket. But and that's something which I'm
I mean,
seeing very
even
often
at the end
in
of the fourth day's play, when 130, 135 odd runs were needed with 7 wickets in hand, I think India could have definitely adopted a different approach on the
yeah,
fifth morning. They could have been aggressive. 135 is a long way to go in the fourth innings
yeah,
on the last day of a game,
yeah.
especially when you just have to take 7 wickets, and you
And
have
you leaked
somebody like a Sam
45
Mills
runs in the
coming in at
first
number
six
seven, who is
overs.
fairly inexperienced in Test
And
cricket.
like you leaked 45 runs in the first 6 overs, and the game was done and
Yeah,
dusted right there. And some of the bowling changes were very surprising for me because
very
to bring in
surprising.
Shardul Thakur there when you still had that's clear signs of shoulders dropping, man. I saw that in the Johannesburg Test match where South Africa needed 120 runs to win on an overcast morning. You brought Ashwin to bowl the first over. That was the heights of tactical blunders I've seen because that pitch
I
had
mean, you
nothing for
can't
the spin.
really. Can you really blame the captains? Like they are getting to captain the team for only 1 or 2 games. They
And
are
that was our point before the
reasonably
match also, right?
inexperienced. Yeah,
That was our point before the match also. Virat
yeah.
Kohli not given the
We
captaincy.
went ahead and said that if you don't have enough senior players in the team, there is Virat Kohli playing. Just give him the captaincy. Why do you have to experiment so much? Like again in the West Indies tour, we are going to get to see Shikhar Dhawan captain the side. I mean, it's completely unnecessary to get another new captain in this series, in the series that is going to come. And to talk about your like call your point on the tactical calls, getting Hanuma Vihari to be at the slips. I mean, Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, and Virat Kohli are your regular slip fielders. I don't know what happened. What happened? Why did they have Hanuma Vihari at slips?
Yeah,
Especially wearing that shin pad. I mean, very good point out there. That if you're wearing the shin pad, it's really difficult to, like, your reflex time really slows down a bit, and
yeah,
in the slips you hardly get any reaction time. It's a
yeah,
fraction of a second. And
yeah.
yeah, I think it's been very
You
disappointing
gotta
from
take
an
catches, man. You're
Indian
playing
fan
international
perspective.
cricket. You've gotta take catches of that level. There is no excuse for that. It was straightforward catch, and you gotta take it. Only
Yeah,
excuse I'll
and
give you for
even
the
even
reception
the Indian
from
team,
next
they dropped
exercise.
a few. I mean,
Yeah,
in the England slip cordon, you could see only Zach Crawley dropping catches, but in
yeah,
the Indian cordon, I mean, they did not look really good in this test. Kohli
yeah,
dropped one. There was
yeah,
one or two that went past the slips that could have been like attempted, and then that Hanuma Vihari chance. I think that was
yeah,
very critical given the form that Johnny Bairstow is in right now, and he
yeah.
just took on them.
I mean,
Took the
Jaren has got a
score.
very interesting point, right? How we absolutely hammer the players who show natural aggression. I've seen that with Srishant initially when he came into the setup. He was that un-Indian like player, was how he was termed as. What
But
is an
I think it
un-Indian
has
like player?
always helped. A bit of aggression has always helped Team India.
Yeah, you don't
Harbhajan
win
Singh,
test match without aggression.
Harbhajan Singh, Zahir Khan, not Zahir Khan, Harbhajan Singh, Yuvraj Singh, way back in 2000, 2001, when they used to
Yeah,
play, they used to get that aggression going.
yeah,
I mean, it all started with Saurav Ganguly.
yeah.
Uh, the
See,
the leadership
Saurabh
that he
Ganguly
showed.
still had that brave mentality, but then the question over here is you're dropping shoulders. Last year you saw this team. You couldn't mess with this team, right? You
I
messed with
mean,
them. All the 11 players are
you have you had moments in in
yeah,
this match where India was showing aggression, but it was all for the wrong cause.
yeah,
We got an altercation from Virat Kohli and Johnny Bairstow, and Kohli scored 31 runs in this game. Bairstow scored close to 250 runs in this game,
yeah.
getting dismissed only once.
Yeah.
So I mean, you are going to get trolled if you perform like that.
I mean,
There is
that's
no two
totally
ways about
okay
it.
for me. But the question, there are bigger questions over here. When you speak about the 6 years of hard work you put in for the test team, from 2015 to 2021, you dominated test cricket almost everywhere you went. You did not lose matches easily. Last time, you might say the scoreline in the English test match by 4-1, but you lost the match by 30 runs, 20 runs.
Yeah.
You could have had that series 3-2 in your favor easily. Easily, you could have had the test match in here. Even on in the last test match where Rishabh Pant and KL Rahul played that
Yeah.
aggressive innings, where you
I don't
almost
know what
changed it to
happens to
250.
Rishabh Pant in overseas conditions. He really loves to bat, and he looks good. He looks very good and very stable on the crease as well. If you
Yeah,
talk about the technique, you might as well say that okay, the feet does not go with the bat.
yeah,
On most of the occasions, his
yeah,
hand-eye coordination is excellent. He
yeah,
sort of gets to know the like the exact trajectory of the ball right from the like bowler's hand, and
yeah,
he just goes for it.
yeah,
But he has looked very stable. He has looked like he has not looked that tentative of getting out,
yeah,
like which we can't say for most of the Indian batters in the series.
yeah,
Virat
yeah.
Kohli, he has always looked. This is, I think, for the last 2 years, I have heard a lot of times that Virat Kohli, okay, he has looked really good in this match. He looked really good in the time that he spent in the crease, but he's not getting those runs. I don't know.
See, I think it's a question of technique versus runs. There is no set technique in which you can get runs in cricket. It's about
I think
getting runs
somebody
ultimately. It
like
does
MS
not
Dhoni
matter
had
what
proved
technique
it
you
way
have.
back in 2007.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what technique you have, right? I know the old school people, the people who really want to talk about technique, having that forward defense.
At the end of the
They'll be
day,
like,
the
okay, this
amount of
guy does
runs
not
that
have it.
you have
If you see
contributed for
Rishabh
the
Pant's
team
forward
in the
defense, it's
scoreboard
not that
counts.
solid.
Yeah,
Rishabh Pant's forward defense is as solid. Maybe you might say it's not as solid as a Rahul Dravid, but his forward defense is effective, and he knows how to get runs, right? It's about how you
definitely.
get runs at a good pace. Johnny Batsman is not the most technically gifted player. He's got issues. When the ball
And
moves,
if you
he
think about Johnny Bairstow being in this form, who would have thought at the start of this IPL, or even in the halfway stage of the IPL, that Johnny Bairstow is going to be the deciding factor between the teams and between the series, especially
yeah,
in the New Zealand series and again in this game against India. I mean, he looked completely clueless out there till the halfway stage in the IPL. Punjab Kings looked really silly to field
yeah,
him at number three, but then again, what a
yeah.
turnaround in test matches. Even
It's
you can
all
say
the
that for
switching
Rishabh Pant as well.
mindset, Sanibani. I was just talking to a few of the people, and they were like, you need to give more time to Rahul Dravid, dude. The fact of the matter over here is, if you're giving more time to Rahul Dravid, look at Brendan McCullum, how he brought the change. It's about you get the results or not. You could see from the way you play as to how you're able to execute your plans,
I
the
think
kind of
we had
blueprint you show.
we had a podcast right when Brendan McCullum was elected the coach and Ben Stokes was elected the captain. We spoke about it that I think Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes are one of the most sort of electrifying combinations out there in world cricket right now,
Absolutely,
because
there's no doubt about it.
they play the same brand of cricket. They have the same mentality. I think somebody like a Brendan McCullum would do really well when working with players like Ewan Morgan, uh, Virat Kohli, even because these are sort of players who like to go out there, be aggressive, uh,
Yeah,
like get the job done on their part. I mean, when
yeah,
India got out for 415, 16 odd runs in the first innings of this game, we
yeah,
could see that Ben Stokes was like, if it would have been some other team, there would have been like a few head drops. Like, how could they go to 416 when they were struggling at 98 for five?
yeah.
But Ben Stokes was really cool about it because he knew that his batters were
And you know
going to
what
come
Ben
out there
Stokes said
and
at the end of the match? He really wished India scored 450 runs. And
yeah,
coming back from a captain, that's scary. That's really, really scary. And you're talking about a team who now backs themselves to even chase 550 odd runs on the final day. So they're gonna go to that levels, and it's all about the coach. I'll tell you something about Ravi Shastri and the Bharat Arun, the entire management. Right when they took over, they did not give the initial results. So there were the media who were bashing them. They were like, they're over aggressive. They're not getting you the results. They're just it's only talks. They speak about pitch out of the equation, but then you could really see the process which was being done. You saw the Indian team fight it out hard. I'll give you one of the primary examples of Johannesburg Test match. I'll say, Indian cricket is in the it's a cycle of two Johannesburg Test matches. 2018 Johannesburg Test match, 2022
yeah,
Johannesburg Test match. This were the two Test matches between where Indian cricket was changed and Indian cricket was turned around as well. 2022 Johannesburg Test match is where that cycle of losses started, where India looked like a team which has no tooth. 2018 Johannesburg Test match was a Test match which actually gave confidence to all these players out there, which formed this team. we on a pitch which did a lot put South Africa to bed. They scared South Africa with their bowling. They were brave enough to go
And
out and
also talk
bat.
about South Africa's team composition for these two matches. I think 2018 South Africa and 2022 South Africa was completely different.
Yeah,
2018,
yeah,
the South African team, there was Fam Duplessis, and there was a lot of players, experienced players in the lineup. In
absolutely.
2022, it was a fairly inexperienced side facing against an experienced Indian attack. You have to take that factor into account as well.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's a very valid point as well. And that test match in Johannesburg, where India were defending 240 all on that final day, where it was doing quite a lot. They had a partnership of 100 runs. Okay, they were 120 for one and two 160 all out. It's the same thing. They were chasing 120 on the final day. And you saw Indian team, they were at it. They knew that they were not gonna, they were chasing 120 in the final two sessions or something like that, if I remember. And South Africa was well and course to make the series 3-0, but then India fought back hard. And even if you look at that series, okay, India got South Africa out for 208, where India, which in Indian batting let them down quite a few times. Even England, that's what happened. But then there were always ambitions of Indian team turning things around. That's what happened from Australia onwards, where India went to Australia, turned things around. Second time in Australia, went to England, got that lead 2-1, fought hard at home. At home, there was no question. India were even more aggressive at home. I mean, there were no chance, except that one match against Australia in 2017, Pune, and Chennai of 2021. India never lost a game since 2013. So you know how strong India are at home, and there's no doubt about it. But now are all the hard work done by Ravi Shastri and co undone? I understand Ravi Shastri has now won you an ICC trophy, and Ravi Shastri has now won those crucial moments. But then Ravi Shastri has really brought self belief on this team. Today, if India are considered favorites in Test cricket, India are considered giants in Test cricket, you have to give credit to Ravi Shastri and co. And
definitely.
that's a thing which everybody should understand. You troll him for his eating habits, his drinking habits, whatever said. That's so illogical. That's nothing to do with cricket. On the
Yeah, I
field,
mean
when it
he's
comes to
a
taking
perfect
calls,
professional, and if even if you see the way he conducts himself around, I think it's so good to see Ravi Shastri carrying himself around in press conferences in media. He's very open about his lifestyle. He has
yeah,
no regrets. He really enjoys to live,
yeah.
and whenever it comes to the professional aspect of it, I think he has been a top notch coach for Team India. And
You know,
yeah, I always
yeah,
knew that
that's a
once
very valid
the
point. That's a very valid point.
yeah.
He's very
And I
professional,
always
right?
knew that once Ravi Shastri would give in way for any other coach, it was going to be difficult to immaculate the performances that Ravi Shastri and the boys did for Team India over the years. I mean, a Test series win at South Africa, at Australia, all over the world. I mean, just
Yeah,
barring
you
England.
were you were the number one. You were on the verge of being the invincibles of, one of the greatest of this generation, and that's when you lost those important moments. And I thought this was an opportunity to win in England and create history after 15 long years, because you had it.
Especially
I
after
know, I
that,
know,
after 2 days of cricket.
I know you would take it after those 4-0 loss, 3-1 loss, 4-1 loss of 2011, 14, and 18. You feel 2-2 is a better result, but then no,
Oh,
it is
I
never
will
a
not
good
be
result.
happy. I will not be
I
happy
would
with
never
that
be happy.
because first of all, the England team they are going through some sort of transition. I mean, one might argue that this has been one of the smoothest transitions in the history of cricket because McCullum just coming in having this huge impact. I mean, just think about the barriers that he has been setting for England cricket now. I mean,
Yeah,
the next time I think even if England are given a target of somewhere around close to 450 and they fail to do it, I think a lot of fans are going to be really disappointed in England, and
yeah.
we are going to see a lot of criticism coming in, especially
I mean,
because the standards they are setting.
it's the
uh,
mindset. It's again the
yeah,
mindset,
it's
right? It's
definitely
the
got to
intent
do
and
with
the
the
mindset.
mindset, and I think
Sport
India
is all
did
about
not
intent and
execute
the
it.
mindset. There's nothing much to it. Sport is all about mindset and intent, and you win games 75% of the time in your mind, and it's 25% of your skill what you show on the field. Once you go with the right mindset, even if you are not the most technically gifted batsman, you know how to score runs. And that's why Johnny Best was scoring runs for fun. He's taking on the ballers like he has got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. He's got the backing from the coaching staff that go out there and play the cricket you want to play,
And
and we'll back
also
you for that too.
the way he turned around the okay, Team India got sort of the advantage early on in the game because of their counter attack. They
Absolutely.
lost 5 quick wickets. Jadeja and Pant came in. Pant sort of took the attack on the bowler. Jack Leach was once again a bunny for him. going for 71 runs in 9 overs. He just completely took all the bowlers apart. Whenever the fast bowlers were pitching it up, he was going for those drives. Even Jadeja
Yeah.
early on in his innings was really taking on the bowling. I mean, we
Right.
saw some very good cover drives, straight drives, on drives early on in Jadeja's innings as well. I think it was a brilliant knock from him. But
Right.
slowly, India had that advantage, and suddenly at the start of day three, they got a bit complacent, and again Ben Stokes and Johnny Bairstow started off that counter attack. Bairstow at
Yeah.
one point, I think he was only at 15 of some 68, 69 balls,
Yeah.
65,
Yeah.
66 balls, and he managed to score that half century in 80 balls and a century in 110 balls. So basically scoring almost 85 runs in 45, 50 balls. And he just took apart bowlers like Shardul Thakur and Mohammad Siraj. Shardul Thakur just okay. I mean, it's clear enough. You have to understand team combination and just drop him for the time being.
I mean, Shardul Thakur has looked not the part at all in the last 6 months with the Indian team. And if you really want an all
Not just
rounder,
Indian team. I think
I
even
think
with the franchise,
Ashwin.
he was a big disappointment.
I mean,
Disappointment for
yeah,
Delhi
correct.
Capitals.
Absolutely. Even same thing with Mohammad Siraj as well. I think if you wanted to go with the proper fast bowler, you should have gone with someone like a Prasidh Krishna or Umesh Yadav. Prasidh Krishna, I think, will be a very good test bowler. He's got
Yeah.
that. He's got that ability, and I've
Okay,
seen him go
Prasidh Krishna
Ranji
is a
Trophy as well.
fairly a youngster. You will not place your bets on Prasidh Krishna ahead of somebody like in the pecking order. He'll definitely be below
No, I
Mohammad
mean,
Siraj
if you are
and
placing your bets
Shardul
on
Thakur.
Justin Boomer as a captain for an important game, I don't
Yeah.
mind placing a bet on a player who's coming with a
But
lot of
definitely, I would have placed my bets on Umesh Yadav. I don't
yeah,
understand why is he not getting more games. He has
yeah,
been doing everything that he can do. He has bowled really well for his franchise. He has bowled really well in whatever test matches that he got in the last 2 3 years. I mean the pace attack, the pace quartet of Team India, Ishant Sharma, Mohammad Shami, Jasprit Bumrah, and Umesh Yadav has been
yeah.
absolutely brilliant for Team India over the last 4 5 years.
True.
Umesh Yadav is not getting a place in the team for no reason. For no reason, he has even turned up like amplified his game with the bat as well. Whenever you give him the opportunity at number 9, 10, he has been coming
I
down
think
at
he
number
would
9,
have definitely scored more
contributing
than
with the bat.
5 runs, right? He would have definitely scored cumulatively more than 5 runs in 2 innings. He would have at least given you 20 runs, 25 runs at least, and that's more than Shardul
And
Thakur
also
scored.
with the ball, I think Umesh Yadav on this pitch with the ball, even in the fourth and fifth innings, I think he would have caused a lot of problems. A lot
Let's
of
talk
problems
about the
to
match with India won, right? India won. It was in Nottingham, if I'm not wrong. India won that. What was Southampton? Which was the last
I
match
think
we
it
played?
was
The fourth Test match.
Southampton. I think it
No,
was
I think it was
Southampton.
Nottingham, if I'm not wrong. It was
Okay.
Nottingham, if I'm not wrong.
Anyway, but
In Nottingham,
India turned the tables on that game. I spoke about this in the pre-game that India were sort of 99 runs, trailing by 99 runs at the end of the first innings. But in the
yeah,
second innings, we saw that brilliant 100 from Rohit Sharma. Umesh Yadav chipped in with the ball. India just got dismissed
he
for
troubled
190,
Joe Root
200 odd
quite
runs
a
in the
lot.
first innings.
Let's remember that he troubled Joe Root quite a lot. One bowler who troubled Joe
Yeah,
Root in that series, where Joe Root has scored 700 plus once. That if you look in the series, and
yeah.
Umesh Yadav, that's the only Test match he played, and he troubled Joe Root quite a lot because he's very skilly. And even if you look the matchup, Joe Root versus Umesh Yadav has had the better of Joe Root many times, and
Umesh
that's
Yadav
one of the
has
reasons
had the
why.
better of Joe Root. He has had the better of. I think he has a very good matchup against Bairstow as well, if I'm
Yeah,
not wrong. So
and
I
that's
just did not
he fell
understand that
apart.
call.
Yeah,
You had rightly pointed out whatever the probable 11 that we had set for the pre-game thing actually turned out to be true. They played fielded the same 11, but going ahead, I always had my concerns over Jadeja's fitness. I think he proved me wrong over there. He like saved India from major blushes in the first innings. Then I had a huge concern about not playing Ravi Ashwin in the form that he is in. Even if you're going for four pacers, you have to play somebody like a Umesh Yadav ahead of uh, Shardul Thakur. There is no
absolutely.
excuse, no reason why he's not getting the games.
True. I mean, these are some serious concerns for India. As Jaren rightly mentions about India having a team, a captain's 11, and that's. I won't be surprised by the end of this year, you're going to have 4 or 3 more captains, and
Yeah,
it's a
might as well.
complete mess at this very time. And I think selectors and the the heads at BCCI should take some accountability for what's happening in Indian cricket because they take all the credit for whatever good happens in Indian cricket. I think it's time for them to take accountability for whatever goes wrong in Indian cricket as well. In white ball, India has got some important matches. Now we're not going to be having any test match till November, until we tour Bangladesh later this year. So we're going to be halting on test matches, and we have
If
6 games
Kohli
to
does not
play in
manage to score another century till November, I think it will be 3 years.
it's literally a cycle, Bangladesh to Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Let's hope that Virat Kohli comes back against Bangladesh. That's where the
Let's hope he
century is
comes back
halted.
against England in this series itself.
Yeah, India would need him to come back against England, but in Test matches, what I'm talking about is India would really need Kohli to come back against Bangladesh and to really do well in the WTC cycle, because you have an Australia, a strong Australia who has had a couple of leads in, who had done exceedingly well in Pakistan and in Sri Lanka, coming to India
I think there
in
is now a
subcontinent,
huge gap between Australia, South Africa, and India in that World Test Championship points, because
and
I
we have
think
been docked off
both
a few
Australia
points as
and
well.
South Africa have close to 73% wins, and India
Yeah,
are way below at 53. I mean, they are still at number three, but
yeah.
53%. It's
India
a
at number
huge
five.
gap to cover.
Let's just make it clear. India at number five. We lost 2 points due to slow over rate, and we had been docked 2 more points as well. So things are just not looking good for India. We are below Pakistan now in the rankings, and it just seems like we are falling apart quite fast. We are falling like like a cards, I would say, because at the start of 2021, 2022, you saw India having one of the best years in Test cricket in 2021, where you won 4 overseas Test matches, the most number of test matches you ever won in overseas conditions ever in your Indian history. And then coming 2022, things haven't really started well. 3 overseas test matches on the bounce. Now we have lost, and now we are not going to be having
I
an
think with
overseas
the
test
two
match until
series that India
2023.
have right now, I think the two series it's one touring Bangladesh
And one
and
against
another
Australia at home. So you have
at
6
home.
matches,
Yeah,
and
so
you got to
I
win
think
all
you
six
would give
to
them the
qualify
edge
for the
in both
final.
the series.
So you have to win all 6 test matches to qualify into the final of WTC, and that's not
Yeah.
looking very good for India, because Australian team is a very good team who's going to tour India, and they've been doing very good in subcontinental conditions. To defeat Pakistan, and Pakistan was a huge achievement, and to dominate against Sri Lanka versus spin is another huge achievement as well. So Australia coming off with a lot of confidence under Pat Cummins' leadership, they're doing exceedingly well, and that's going to be
But
danger
India at
signs for
home, I
India.
mean, definitely India at home are going to be the clear
India
favorites
at
for the
home are a
trophy.
good team, but it's not going to be an easy cakewalk, because India
Yeah,
have to
definitely
win the
not going
series
to be a
4 nil.
cakewalk.
India have to win the series 4-0, and the recent past Australia has done really well in India as well. So these are some important things for India to look up on Test cricket. But let's talk about white ball cricket before we end the show. Tomorrow, India take on England in that first T20 match, and it's an important one for India, because tomorrow's match you won't have the big boys playing. It's going to be the same squad which played against Ireland, and you're going to be having the addition of Rohit Sharma to lead this side, of course. You're going to be having your permanent captain back again in the squad. Uh,
Temporary captain.
well, I don't disrespect Rohit Sharma, the player. He's definitely a
Yeah.
terrific player, but his issues are a concern. Look at this. This is a squad which will be taking on England tomorrow in the first T20i. The match will begin at 10:30 p.m. IST, and you're
I
going to be
think
having
Sanju Samson and Deepak Huda in that team have created a huge impact in the Ireland series. I think
yeah,
Deepak Huda especially has really made a name for himself in the two games that he got. Even in some
yeah.
of the practice matches that they played, I think they played. Whom did they play? I think Derbyshire or Nottinghamshire.
Yeah, Derbyshire, yeah.
Either of the two
You
sides.
know what, Sanjivani, I quite like the look of this T20 side more than the main squad, which is going to be playing from the second T20, because this team is much more fearless. This team is much more brave in terms of taking on the ballers. Uh,
And just talk
you have
about form. I think Deepak Huda, Sanju Samson, they are in some purple patch right now,
They have been in
and even
purple patch
Ishan
for quite
Kishan.
a long time.
Yeah, and even Ishan Kishan before the England series, I think he did really well in that series against South Africa.
To be very honest,
So
I don't
I
mind this squad being represented as India in the T20 World Cup as well, because this squad gives you a lot more variety in terms of the
But
batting
who do
options.
you think will make the playing 11, especially with the bat? I think it's going to be interesting to see whom do they field, because with Rohit Sharma back, I think Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan are going to open.
Yeah.
There is definitely going to be Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, and Dinesh Karthik. So that just leaves one spot for two players, that is Sanju Samson and Deepak Huda. So
Deepak Huda.
it's going to be, yeah,
It'll be
I
Deepak
think
Huda.
Deepak Huda with the kind of form that he is in right now,
And he offers with something
especially
with the
after the
ball as well.
century.
So Deepak Huda will walk into the side quite easily. And Sanju Samson, it's very unfortunate might have to miss out, but then Deepak Huda will have to walk into the side. And Ishan Kishan, Rohit Sharma opens. That's a natural call as well. So
Yeah.
my playing 11 is going to be Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, Surya Kumar Yadav, Deepak Huda. Maybe Deepak Huda at 3, Surya Kumar at 4, Hardik at 5, Dinesh Karthik at 6, 7. Wait, 7 will be Aksar Patel, then then your bowling attack of Harshal,
I really want to
Sahel,
see
and the
Mohammad
rest.
Shami get back to T20 cricket. He did a brilliant job in the last 4 years in IPL. He has been very consistent throughout. Whenever he has got opportunities for the franchise cricket, okay,
Right.
he does not have a very good record in the T20 international format with the ball, but
Yeah.
I think a player of his class should definitely be given the ball. If you're trusting somebody like a Harshal Patel, Bhuvneshwar Kumar to bowl those early overs and right at the end, I think you definitely have to trust somebody like a Mohammad Shami who will give you those 2 overs right at the top. And on his day, I think he's a very good bowler in the death as well. But you don't have to bowl him in the death overs. Like you just give him 3 overs up front and just finish his quota within the 15th over. I think
Absolutely.
India right now have enough like death over bowlers in the form. And again, very impressive performance from Arshdeep Singh in one or two of the tour matches that he got. He was
Mm.
by far
The best
outclassing
bowler.
players like Umran Malik.
Yeah.
I still now I mean some of the calls that Team India are making right now is really frustrating me. I have been wanting to see Arshdeep Singh play for the in the international format for the national side for a long time now.
Yeah.
Because right after the IPL, I think the form you have to capitalize when a player is in his prime, in his
Yeah.
not prime, okay, in his purple patch. You have to sort of get the best out of that player. I think that is where India has really missed out, not getting Umesh Yadav to play play this test match, not getting Arshdeep Singh to play in the South Africa series. I think India are definitely missing a
I
pot
would
out there.
really have Arshdeep Singh over Avesh Khan as well because Arshdeep Singh, provides that variety. Bowling from over the wicket, a left-hand bowler. He can take the ball both in and away. He can bowl the first 2 overs, then come back and bowl at the back end as well. So that's the variety which Arshdeep Singh provides. And having said that, happy birthday to Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the greatest wicketkeeper batsman in white ball cricket for India and one of the greatest captains as well. So it's July 7th, a special day, and of course it's a of course we miss him as well in white ball cricket. If you look at the captaincy, when Dhoni was
Now more
captain,
than ever.
I really miss Dhoni because at least when Dhoni was captain, you know who was the captain of the Indian team. You do not know who's the Indian team captain at this very time. You have seven captains. You're having a merry-go-round with captains. You be captain, I be captain, everybody else be captain. So he was called the Indian captain. Now you have Indian captains. So
Yeah.
it's all going into
I
their
think even
profile. You
after
have
his
captains.
phase, I think there was a phase from Virat Kohli where he really took on the leadership. But once Kohli was sacked, it's right to say he was sacked, right? He did not resign. I think he was sacked, definitely sacked by BCCI from the captaincy position.
Yeah.
So right
And
after
it
that
all
phase, India has been having a
it all started off in that particular press conference,
yeah,
which
yeah.
took place prior to the South Africa tour. And when Kohli came out telling that I was not even asked when I was going to be removed from the white ball captaincy, and it really hurt some big egos
I think
at the
over
helm
the
of
last
Indian cricket.
2 years, Kohli has taken way too many breaks in the international format. I mean,
Yeah,
whenever he's playing for India, every other series we are seeing that okay, Kohli is rested. I don't know
yeah,
why he needs so much rest.
yeah.
Uh, I
I don't
definitely
really
think that he
understand
should
why do
give.
players need a lot of rest. And Virat Kohli, though he has played a lot of cricket from 2020, all his life. I mean, 2016, 2021, he's played a lot of cricket. But whatever has happened, at this very point, things are not looking good in Indian cricket. Virat Kohli being, it all started with the press conference before the tour of South Africa. From there, you knew that things were going bad, and from there on, it was not looking good. And whatever Kohli might say that he is the one who, put his resignation letter for Test captaincy, but there was definitely pressure from the board. It is very evident, right? You're not a kid. You're not a 5-year-old kid not to understand that. A 5-year-old kid would understand what is going behind and what is really cooking.
Yeah.
And when Virat Kohli resigned, it was very clear.
I
It
mean, the
was
internal
definitely.
politics in the management has really started to take its toll on the team, which is a huge concern. I think talent-wise, India are still one of the best teams out there
Yeah,
in all the formats. I think they have players to like the players that they have. I think it's good enough to win. Even their B team is good enough to win a World Cup, according
yeah,
to me. I mean, according to my
yeah,
assessment
yeah,
of it.
yeah,
But I think the internal politics that is going around within the management and the leadership board has really affected Team India over the last 2 3 years. And uh, over the last year or so, and especially in the last 4 5 months, because there has been no consistency in the leadership unit. I mean, whenever you are playing for a team, especially youngsters like Deepak Huda, Sanju Samson, Shreyas Iyer, who are getting Rishabh Pant, who are playing. I mean, Rishabh Pant was a captain himself. So when you are playing for the international side for the first few games, like somebody like Avesh Khan, Akshay Patel, you really need that leadership, a player in that leadership role, and a fixed management that can back you, that can say that yeah, you go ahead. It's almost like how Sunrisers Hyderabad were managing their team way back in 2021, and
Yep.
KKR team management, that KKR, the way KKR has managed their team, there is no confidence in the players. Not confidence, I'll not put it in confidence. I mean, there are so much talent
And I
coming
also
in.
I also like to say, as a coach, Rahul Dravid had a lot to do with, and as a captain, I know he had a miserable time as a captain. Though he has won couple of test matches here and there against Pakistan at Pakistan, but then as a man manager, you saw the Craig Chappell saga happen under his tenureship.
Yeah.
You saw the World Cup exit in the group stage under his captaincy. You saw a lot of
And
bad teams in Indian cricket
to
under his
mention that
captaincy.
World Cup exit, I think India were the favorites going into the thing. I
India
think they
were the
were a
favorites.
team to beat, not Australia in 2007. Okay, Australia were a dominant team, but Australia were not the team to beat. It was India and Sri Lanka heading into that World Cup. I feel that
Absolutely.
was a really shocking one.
And I would really like to say that, when your team is not doing well, from the dressing room, the team won't do well on the field. And so the thing is very simple. Let it be with the greatest of teams. It's all about the mentality, dude. I mean, I've seen that with some teams having not the most talented players, but the mentality of taking things through, the history, the legacy, that really helps you in the crunch moments. And that's something which is lacking from India. And as a coach, Rahul Dravid has to take accountability of not managing things. And I bet he has a call in deciding who's going to captain the team as well.
Yeah.
He gave me a red flag in that Sri Lankan series where India were COVID struck, but the kind of attitude which Indian team showed there, where Indian shoulders dropped very quickly, that was a red flag. I should have caught on to that. I thought Rahul Dravid will still be a good appointment to actually take over from Ravi
I mean,
Shastri, but
Rahul
right
Dravid has
now,
done really good for the under 19 setup in India. I mean, he has he really he is very good at grooming these young talents
yeah,
right from the start. Players like Prithvi Shaw, Shubman Gill, they have all been under Rahul Dravid for a long time now. So
yeah.
I think he has had fair results coaching the under 19 setup. But coaching the Indian team, you have to understand that it is not there has to be some sort of stability in the leadership group. It's not like the under 19 setup where you have a
I
completely different team
know.
every two
I'll
years.
take a quote from Rahul Dravid from 2016 where he said, "Everybody in my team will get a chance to play, and everybody will get a chance to captain." Uh, it's not a good quote. If we look from an international team perspective, and I'll tell you, Rahul Dravid is an excellent coach in terms of coaching a player. But in
Yeah.
international cricket, you don't need a coach; you need a man manager, and that's what differentiates you. And Gary Kirsten was a terrific man manager, and you saw that even with Gujarat Titans, right? They were
You
not
have
the
to
most
even say
talented
that
team on
somebody
the
like
field.
Ashish Nehra is a terrific man manager. He understands the pulse of the players. That is
Yeah.
something you have to do at this stage, at this level of at the level of like Rahul Dravid's the level in which Rahul Dravid is operating. You don't need players. You don't need to go to players and say, okay, there are some technical issues you can discuss with the players, but you don't have to go to the players and say that okay, you have to give. It's more about being in the right frame of mind, and I think you have to understand the pulse of the players, what they like to do at certain situations, what
Yes.
has to be done to get them going at certain
Yeah.
situations. I think it's fairly early days for Rahul Dravid and in the Indian setup, but let's see. I think he'll be
I
there
was just
to
listening to Ravi
achieve
Shastri
some
on
great
Sky.
results as well.
During this test match, I was just listening to Ravi Shastri on Sky. He takes us back to one of the incidents which happened in this very series as well. While in that Nottingham Test match, he went to Chiteshwar Pujara and told, "Stop playing with the defensive cricket. Go out there, go play attacking cricket, and you will score runs." And he scored 90 odd in that Test match. And it was a turning point. As you mentioned, Rohit Sharma's 100. There was an underrated innings of Chiteshwar Pujara as well, where India set up that mammoth score. So, these are the words which changes players, and you need to be a good man manager. You need to back every player for that. And the kind of blame what you gave to Ravi Shastri and the kind of praise which Rahul Dravid got when he was given the job, saying that now you won't have a drunkard as a coach. it's just bad. It's just bad now. Now looking
He may
back at
be a
it,
drunkard in other times, but whenever
yeah,
he's doing his professional
bro.
job, I
What's
think he has
the
his
point
spectacular.
is, what's the whole point, right? If he's a drunkard or not, does not matter. He's a thorough
Yeah,
professional. You know
as
his
long
work
as
ethic.
in Team India are getting the results, I think they should stick to him.
And guess what? India has removed the yo-yo test, and it's not good science.
I mean,
These are definitely not
it
good
is
science.
good signs for players like Varun Chakravarti, Rahul Tewatia, but
I
not
mean, these
good
are not good
signs for
signs. If you're a professional team playing at that level, you were you were appreciated across the world for the fitness you carried. You were appreciated across the world for the energy you carried. Teams were afraid for the energy what you put in. And if you're
I
removing
mean,
all
to
this,
sum up
definitely not good.
the last hour's discussion that we have had, I think the internal conflict, the internal politics, is what is being the is what is leading leading the downfall of Indian cricket right now. Let's
Yeah.
hope that India can come out of it. The talent, the strength that the Indian team has right now with the sort of players that they have in the team, I think they are one of the best teams in the world. Even the
Yeah.
B team, the C team can on their day go on to win the World Cup, T20 World Cup. They can just dominate any team in the world right now. They are one of the
Yeah.
best teams, if not the best. But they have to work out all those internal conflicts. They have to have that
Yeah.
a specific, a constant leadership group,
Yeah.
and I think that is when things will start to change for Team India again. I
And
think,
you really hope that leadership ground group is identified very quick because you have two
yeah,
World
very
Cups back
quickly.
to back, and it's very important to have that. And you have BCCI elections in
And
October, so
it's not
you
going
hope.
to help that some like most of the senior players are not going to play the West Indies tour.
Yeah,
It's not
and it
going to
doesn't
help
help.
that in any way. I think that is a pathetic call, another pathetic call from Team India, from some of the senior players being rested. I don't think that they right now they need any sort of rest. They should
Yeah,
get more and more game time before the T20 World Cup. Otherwise, again, we are going to see a scenario where a couple of early on losses and Team India are definitely out of it. So
absolutely.
let's hope that
And
is not the
and
case.
we're gonna understand the end of the debate. We know the kind of talent India has. Rohit Sharma is a terrific player. The questions are on his
Yeah,
fitness. The questions Virat Kohli is a terrific player. The question is in the kind of mindset he's going in with. He's very tentative with his approach because he wants to score runs at the same time he wants to save his wicket as well. Rahul Dravid is a great coach, but not is definitely not proving to be a great man manager. To sum it all up, and the politics in BCCI are not doing any good for Indian cricket. So you really hope as the BCCI election is going to take place in October, you see a new leadership group in the BCCI at large, the new general secretary or a new BCCI president, and you see a new path which will be lined up for India. And Rahul Dravid as a coach should introspect as well. It's high time he introspects and puts a path for Team India so that they can go out there, play good aggressive brand of cricket. And that's aggressive brand of cricket is what that situation and the modern game demands as well. You cannot you if you're not brave enough, you're not going to win matches, and that's as simple as that. And England are winning matches because they're brave enough, and they won the World Cup just being playing the attacking brand of cricket. So you get success playing that, and there's no doubt about it. Thank you, Sandeep, for joining. It was a pleasure talking to you because it was a long discussion, and we really, as we planned prior to the live, we're going to definitely be as blunt as possible. We're not going to
yeah.
be diplomatic with the way we're going to talk because we have to talk. We are here to talk about it. We are here to talk and let the viewers also know what the situation is. Let the viewers know the things which are happening within BCCI within the team because it's high time that people really realize that Indian team are not in the best of shapes and in a good head stead at all. Indian team were in a good head stead maybe in the last 4 years. You did not win an ICC trophy, that was the blame. But you don't want this kind of an Indian team where they are not really even competing.
And
So
then if this continues to go on, I think like no, very soon we are going to be called the chokers. It's no
and you don't
longer
want that,
going to be
yeah.
South Africa,
Yeah, you don't want
because we
that.
have
We
been
need to,
choking in some very critical matches. We have looked really good throughout the tournament, been undefeated throughout the competition, and whenever it comes to that knockout phase, the semifinals,
yeah.
finals, we just lose the plot.
You're losing on an
So
important moments, and that's something which you need to know how to grasp as well. So these are things which India will have to identify and correct very soon because you have two major tournaments in this year: Asia Cup and the World Cup in another 4 months' time. So a lot of work for Rahul Dravid, Rohit Sharma. I hope that's the leadership group which stays for those tournaments as well. Pun intended. So let's end the live right there. And guys, do play the India England series on BOOMER 11 tomorrow. We're going to be playing the first T20i against England. Starts from 10:30 p.m. So you can make your teams at 10 p.m. IST, which is 8:30 p.m. U8 standard time, GST time. Gulf Standard Time. So you got to make your teams at 8:30, and you can, after the toss also, you can change your team. So as we showed you, the squads are going to be different for the first T20i and the second and the third. So get into the Boom 11 app, play for absolute free of cost. There's zero financial risk, and you have a lot to earn as well. Thank you, Sandeep Mani. Have a good time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.